Nevada. Nevada's an okay state. They have almost no resources because they're terrified of taxes. I remember one person told me that if you want to be a really predatory therapist, go to Nevada because you can kind of just prey on people, unfortunately. Florida is, oh boy. I honestly wouldn't recommend anybody to live in Florida if they can avoid it. They've got a crazy, like, authoritarian guy leading that state right now. It's like you're one step away from him deciding that you need to be put in a gulag or a concentration camp. Yeah. Almost everyone that I know who has lived in Florida has said that it's a nice place. Like, Florida's nice, but the people are kind of interesting, to put it nicely. Yeah, one of those things that I won't quite understand about some factions in the US is the whole thing of, like, we are all fellow Americans, right? Like, we are all in this together. So why would we be so vehemently against one another being happy or succeeding or, you know, getting something out of their lives? Like, that's the one thing I don't necessarily understand about some factions in America. It's like they are desperate to see people who aren't doing as well as them fail. And I mean, if we think about it from a purely, like, economical standpoint, as long as everyone's... I mean, if one person succeeds, it's more likely that the people around them will succeed. So, if, you know, someone starts a business in your town, and that business does really well, what is more likely to happen than anything is for someone else to just open another business. Okay, nothing over here. You know, it's just like... It's like if you open a law office and your law office does amazingly, then the people in your area are more likely to seek law office services. And as a result of that, it's more likely that another attorney will open in the same city as you. And so with that new guy, that new attorney there, there's a higher chance that more people will seek law services, which now means that you pretty much only benefit. So, here's what it is. Success breeds success. Failure breeds failure. There's actually a really important aspect of that too, which is try to resist cynicism sneaking its way into your life and how you view things. Because If you can prevent cynicism from controlling you, you will be so much happier. Like, orders of magnitude happier than you would ever imagine. Okay. Well, let's get it. Strength. Alright, this is gonna be a fast level. You blast through everything. Let's do this. Hopefully we get dragon form sooner rather than later. Because that'll help us quite a bit. Don't quite have it yet. I think it's at level 60 that we get dragon. We get the dread worm trance or whatever it's called. And then we become so much more dangerous. Okay, we are level 52. It's not so bad. They're something special, ain't they? Nice. You're gonna need to be a little bit more specific. There are a lot of underwater games. You mean Subnautica? Baritone, yeah, I've played Baritone. I played it back when it was still in beta. It was really good. Tolls? I don't know what you're talking about. Did they add tolls into the game? Where opposing factions will, like, charge you to use their waterways or something like that? Huh, I have no idea. You mean tolls, as in, like, things you have to pay to move forward and not, like, troll, right? So just be clear, you mean toll, not troll, right? Oh, yeah, the polls. Yeah. It was there. It's still here. Somewhere. Let me see if I can find it real quick. We'll have to look on CloudBot so I can find that specific command. Oh, it was game poll. There we go. Yeah, we're going to be covering Barotrauma at some point in the near future. The thing about Barotrauma is that there are a lot of very problematic people who play Barotrauma. And what this usually translates to is that if you don't want somebody to, like, literally soft lock your game potentially, you have to sometimes just play entirely offline. And Barotrauma is at its best when you're playing online. So to put that in perspective, if you go, like you can literally go and rewire subs to where they can't go up. So you can, say, rewire a sub's ballast tanks to never actually empty. And so what this means is that the sub will just go into uncontrolled free fall, potentially as soon as the match begins. And that's it. And it's not so bad. I just sort of like skipped through a lot of the footage. But I mean, RimWorld is kind of an interesting game. So the thing with RimWorld is that people only really want to watch RimWorld when they can use RimConnect to screw up the game. And the problem with that is that you have a lot of potentially bad actors who will just rage you to death. And they won't, like, do anything to help you. They'll just try to do things to, like, end the game, to ruin the game. You know, it's funny for them, I guess, but, like, it's like all what ends up happening is, okay, so they ended the game, and then they're upset that there's no more RimWorld. It's like, well, what do they expect? I sort of think about it like they're the people who want to watch their, like, they want to watch a house burn down, so they burn down a house. Even better, they want the, like, their town. Yeah, they want their town to grow. So naturally, whenever someone tries to build a new development in their town, they burn all the buildings down. If it doesn't make sense, don't worry. Yeah, it's just like, this is what it is. I could keep doing it, but, like, the problem with RimWorld is that the first, like, 4 to 5 hours of every run is basically exactly the same. And so, like, it gets so incredibly boring for the person running it. I mean, like, if I was to get a guarantee that, you know, RimWorld would make it past the first, you know, 9-10 hours of gameplay, then sure, I would play RimWorld no problem. You know, because then we'd be doing all the cool fun stuff, but, you know, otherwise it's just not, doesn't seem like it's really that rewarding to play. Unfortunately. And, yeah, with what I did to RimConnect, where it's like pretty much everything that's bad has like a 10-minute delay on it or something, I don't think those people would even stick around. But here's the other thing. Like, you can bypass the shop entirely to make events happen just through the holes in Room Connect. So there's still ways for them to cause problems. But yeah. Yeah, it is what it is. It's like... Yeah, it's just like... They will actively discourage you from playing the game. And then complain that you don't play the game. Let's make your experience playing this game terrible. Why isn't he playing the game? You just relived something. Some horror, yeah. Adolf staring off into the distance, whispering, "The horror! The horror!" to yourself. You forgot about the name Dozless for a while? Nothing wrong with that. Okay, let's kill these guys. Do you mean the name of the very first stream I did, or my first streaming channel? I have no idea. It's usually named off of like whatever game I'm running. Like how this one is named something along the lines of Final Fantasy XIV, Deep, House of the Dead, Deep Dungeons. So I usually name the stream episode itself to whatever the contents are. Yeah, it's usually not that much more complex than just that. Steam? Oh, yeah. I have my Steam name. Right now it's the same as like this one, it's just been more... Yeah, Steam is in like Valve Steam. I mean, I've changed them over the years, yeah. But like, I haven't really like updated the account name, but I've changed the nickname that you can give your account plenty of times. But I mean, no one ever sees your actual account name. They only see your, like, you can see your account name, but other people can only see the nickname that you give yourself. So I wouldn't worry about that too much. Witching, nice. Yes. Yeah, I'm playing on Steam right now. I think I'm on Do Not Disturb though. Okay, we have mimics. So, to kill a mimic, we want to... Let me get that, and we want to hold on to these. I could wait for that cool down, but there's not really a reason to. Yeah, I usually try to appear offline as well. Why did I do that again? It tends to make life a little bit nicer. Hopefully he uses Death Trap instead of Infatuation first. Okay, nice. Pretty high DPS there. Yeah, and you can also just turn on Do Not Disturb, and that way you don't even see them. So that's what I recommend, is probably Do Not Disturb. No, good, we killed him. Before he could infatuate us. So I think with Do Not Disturb, they can't bug you. Serenity. Okay, we don't have any effects on this floor. Oh, wonderful. Yeah, but Do Not Disturb on, I think that you can still join your game if it's set to allow other people to join your game, but you don't see any messages from them. That's the... I know, right? These World War II dungeons here. Gonna have some dude run out of nowhere, start screaming German at us. Okay, let's go. Yeah, Austria. Yeah, that guy that we both know, that we're both referring to, Mr. Proudwolf. That's what his name means. Yeah, he really, really, really liked classical art. Like, he really liked classical art. Got a Nightmare Monk. Buy Nightmare Monk. Yeah, he really hated... He disliked certain people, he really liked classical art, and he hated modern art. He viewed modern art as an insult to like art everywhere, essentially. In a way, it was kind of crazy. But you know, that's unfortunate. The one thing you will learn if you ever study people in general is that people tend to make decisions and take actions for completely irrational reasons. A huge part of this is that made a group take down people, certain people build this country. You know, that is one of those things, like, what that group, what that organization offered was stability, and he was an authoritarian at a time when people really, really wanted an authoritarian leader. And what tends to happen when you have an authoritarian leader is exactly what happened. So it's no real surprise to anyone who understands how that whole stuff goes. Oh, wait. We've got the good stuff. We have leveled up enough to where we have the really powerful version of our stuff now. So we are doing well. We are sitting pretty, as some would say. Affluence. Alright, let's do affluence. So, the thing about humans is two things I'm going to talk about real quick. One is how irrational people are, and the other one is how people seek authoritarian leaders when there's some sort of emergency or calamity. Yeah. That, the mustache that he had was the kind of mustache you had. Like, he originally had an armbar mustache. I was thinking, I was thinking safety. So that mustache that he had, that was the mustache that pretty much everyone who wanted the mustache had to have during World War I. So that was the mustache that allowed you to continue having your mustache while at the same time being able to not die to chlorine gas, which was incredibly popular as a strategy for getting rid of enemy soldiers during World War I. And as you can probably imagine, I think it was chlorine gas. So if you inhaled chlorine gas, what would literally happen is it would bind with the water in your sinuses and your lungs and everything, and essentially turn into acid, and will dissolve you from the inside out. So it's really not a good way to go. I don't think it was mustard yet. I think that was World War II. Was mustard? It might have been World War I. It was something. I just remember it's horrific. Mr. Ballin did an episode on it. I think it was Polish soldiers who got gassed. It's horrific. Like, ooh. Like, yeah, it just turns into acid on everything that's exposed to the air. There's water in it that is exposed to the air. And as you can probably imagine, considering your entire body is made of water, it doesn't work too well for you. Yeah, it wasn't really laughing gas, but yeah. Basically, gas attacks and seeing people die from gas in World War I was so terrible. Everyone in the League of Nations that was formed signed an agreement saying that no one was ever going to use poison gas in warfare ever again. And then immediately after World War One and World War Two, they started using poison gas on each other again. Because of course they did. Like chemical gases. He wasn't in power at the time. He came to power after the League of Nations. And plus, I wouldn't trust that guy with anything. Yeah, I wouldn't trust that guy to like honor any agreement that he signed. Sounds like a bad idea. Okay, so we're trying to get to level 16? We should be able to do it. I don't think he was empowered. Yeah. Like a lot of people. Yeah. They learned that the hard way, alright. Yeah. World War II could have gone differently if Hitler hadn't attacked the Soviets. It could have gone very, very differently. But if he also hadn't been just an impulsive idiot, things could have gone differently. Like, literally, the thing to keep in mind is that by Churchill basically bombing, I think it was Munich? Like, he didn't even bomb anything that was particularly important. I think it was like a warehouse or something in Munich, or something that he bombed. Like, Hitler went crazy and was like, alright, stop bombing the military bases that can actually produce things to fight back, and instead, bomb all the civilians! And, well, that didn't really work. It never does, by the way. Attacking civilians and civilian infrastructure doesn't actually win wars. The only thing it does actually do is turn people against you and galvanize them against you. Alright, we're level 60 now. Very nice. So yeah, if he had decided to keep bombing Britain's airfields and stop them from being able to gain any kind of air superiority, then Britain probably would have been screwed in World War II. Like, eventually it would have been that they would have been able to have such air superiority that they would have the naval superiority, because ships are big, and while they can take a lot of damage, ships are very hard to hit. I mean, airplanes are difficult to hit. America's done lots of cleanup work. In what specific way do you mean? Switching. Okay. Nice. Okay, so we're at the level where we only want to really fight where we specifically have to fight, which means we want to head that way. Which means this guy needs to die. Yeah, you have to be a little bit more clear of what you mean by cleanup work. Sounds good. We'll probably get through the next boss and then we'll call it, because our cat really wants some attention. Probably wants to be fed soon. So we get past level 40, we will most likely call it. And then at the end, did the USA come in and start to finish off the Germans? I think it was more of the midway point that I'm not sure exactly. It might have been the midway point. I know America was giving loads and loads of supplies to the Allies during that time, but it was still relatively neutral. There was a short period of time where America could have joined the Axis powers, which is kind of terrifying. There was a very, very loud pro-Nazi movement in the US during World War II. Yeah, there's a fun thing about those two bombs, by the way. They were like 3 and 4% yield. Just why those cities were so are pretty much still there to an extent. Well, they're still there, but those bombs were incredibly low yield. Something like the Tsar Bomba, I think that was like 60, 70, 80% yield. That was a thermonuclear bomb, if I remember correctly. But yeah, the Axis was pretty much done by the time we dropped those. It was really the Axis everyone was worried about. I'm not sure how much of Japan would even be left after a Tsar Bomba. I don't suspect much. I don't suspect much would be left. Yeah, like the yield of the Tsar Bomba was insane. Like it was felt by seismographs, I think all over the globe. And the shockwave from it circled the globe like 7 times. Yeah, the fallout would be insane. It's not even that. Like, the fallout's not really the thing you have to worry about with that kind of scenario. It's the dust. Because the dust is all radioactive. And what most people don't consider is the idea that when you are in an area that has radioactive fallout, you're breathing in dust that is... Well, when you're in an area that has been nuked recently, or near an area that was nuked, the primary danger isn't necessarily the, like, it's still super dangerous to be near it, but once the initial nuke is over, it's all the radioactive dust that's floating around in the air. And the problem is, you don't even need to be in the area where the nuke went off for it to get you. As long as that dust gets blown in the air to a different area, you can still die of radiation poisoning, because you'll breathe it in. And it will irradiate your lungs, and then At that point, you're done. So it's absolutely terrifying. But yeah, after in World War II, after we nuked Japan, people were confused because there were people in neighboring towns, neighboring cities, who were getting radiation sickness and dying, and like no one understood why. And so while we were, to put it bluntly, dissecting corpses of people who died from radiation poisoning, we came to the realization that a lot of these people had this radioactive dust in their throats, in their lungs, in their stomachs. And so it came to the realization that, oh crap, this is a lot more dangerous than we thought it was. As it turns out... Oh, we didn't use Eliminator Strength and Steel. We should do that. Yeah, as it turns out, the real problem is the dust. Let's kill these boots. These boots were made for floating. They're gonna float all over him. Yeah, so I think that does more damage for every boot that's alive. Yeah, weather, snow, yeah. What's terrifying about Hiroshima and... Yeah, what's terrifying about Hiroshima and Nagasaki is... you have to keep in mind that there were people who sort of were outcasts, who kind of lived in caves around those cities,